August.
You're on vacation in July, you said?
I'm away, but John is away now. And,
Anything?
yeah.
Okay.
Nope.
All right, Nicole, I know you were running away.
Yeah, I have some questions. The first question is in regards to the process. So any part of the process, will there be any part of the process that residents are in, that they can have some kind of input or just feel like they were part of it?
Sure. We can do, there's a few different things we can do. We can do, I guess there are three different things we've done in the past. We used to do community forums the old days before this, before Zooms, and we would get just a handful. Maybe the crowd would be back here tonight. We had one in a fairly large community that we were doing recently, and this is what we had. We had a town of 30 some odd thousand people. We had 3 people. That one is less useful than it used to be. There could be a Zoom forum of some sort, but we, given the timing, I'm not sure that's necessarily as effective. Another option is doing a community survey. And what we would do is we would put that out there and try to get that information in over the course of the next, before we get to the point of selecting the individuals to interview or to bring before you. And then, but we would take that, and it would be our survey. So, and the reason I say that is because we want to protect the town. And by that, I mean, we have had situations, every community has people who don't necessarily say the nicest things. We don't want to take away people's ability to say negative things. We want to take away people's opportunity to say libelous things. So we do try to cleanse that up a little bit if someone goes completely off the rails. You will see it, but it'll be corrected in some way to make it, to limit the liability to the town. That's our goal. So we can do a survey. The other that actually, it's funny, we're doing one in a couple of weeks up in the town of Hopkinton that we've done in a number of places, is a meet and greet of the finalists. So it's an added step to the people who are being.
Oh, I'd love that option.
And you say, okay, bring the 3 people in, and maybe you have it here or some other facility, and you can have each candidate stand in the corner, and have people come in and introduce themselves and talk to them. Or you can have, we can do a sort of a hybrid type version of that, where maybe it's give each candidate an opportunity to. Not with them all in the room. What we want to do is keep this from being we didn't do this particular search that I'm referencing, but there was a search that was done in another community by that community. They use a consultant. And they put the 2 finalists they had left on a stage at a table, and they basically turned it into a presidential debate where people asked questions and they debated, they were expected to debate one another on the answer. This isn't a political position. This is a professional position. You want to treat it as a profession and not have them play to the crowd. So both of those candidates in that particular community were very uncomfortable with it. They maintained their professionalism, but it was really a bizarre way to do it. We've done forums where we let people come and ask questions in a more of a structured forum type of process. But the meet and greet seems like one that's, it's a little bit more approachable.
Sure.
And we've done it that way. We've done 3 people in a room, 4 people in a room. People can come around and talk and give their thoughts to the board.
Great.
So my next question was, you referenced this pool of people that you may have And that these are people that maybe are taking your program or whatnot, but these are not folks that are getting a service from you, right?
No.
Okay.
No, let me be very clear on that. And, we were asked on a regular basis, I say regular, an occasional basis, occasionally, we were asked, can you work for me and help me with, no, we work for communities.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then my last one was you mentioned that you've done about 110 searches. Do you know how many of those are repeat customers?
I might have included that in my list, in my packet, and I didn't bring mine.
Do you know where it would be?
If not, if I can get on my website, I can, or my, yeah. Everybody's disasters here. One has hired us, I don't know if it's all right for me to stand here and do this.
Yeah.
But Avon's hired us twice, Bourne has hired us twice, Foxborough's hired us twice.
Okay.
So,
All right, I'll take a look at that. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you. And that was all my questions.
All right, thank you. Buck?
Thanks. Thank you for coming out tonight. We're lucky to have you. You're clearly very knowledgeable and I appreciate that. I noticed in your proposal that you mentioned that you maintain confidentiality and, until they become a finalist. So that's very important to us. So I wanted just to bring light to that. And,
I'm glad you did. And I'm thrilled to hear you say that that's important to you, because that's important to the candidates as well in getting the pool. Massachusetts has a great open meeting law that keeps things transparent.
yes,
But it's a problem, it can be a problem for some, in other states where that doesn't exist, the process can be much more streamlined and you get bigger pools because people are willing to put their name out there because they know it will never become public until they get chosen.
Right.
In Massachusetts, you're confidential until you get to be a finalist. And if that were ever to go away, the pool would become even weaker. So I really appreciate the board recognizes that importance.
awesome. Thank you. You talked about, reference checks and that process, but also in the proposal, it talks about background checks. Do you run an actual background check?
We do with quarries.
A quarry check? Okay.
And we also verify employment and education.
Okay.
We don't.
I like that.
we don't do
Education,
credit
great.
checks.
Yeah.
Right.
Fantastic. Finalists, we talked about 3 or 4. I really like 3. When do we talk about deciding that? Like at what point?
I'd say at this point, wait until we're closer to that.
Okay.
And I like 3 as well. And you have to have, well, we could just, we like being able to give the board a choice. But you want it to be your 3 best candidates.
Right.
That's, once you get beyond that, it starts to scare the candidates. It may seem like a strange thing, but candidates will always say to me, how many finalists are there? And if I say 4 or 5,
Yeah.
they say, well, my chances now are only 25% or 20% versus 3, which is 33%. And they feel better about that. So there's that element. But the other part of it is what we're seeing in many communities is, and this isn't just town administrative positions, every position, we're seeing it in the private sector as well, is people who go down the path and then pull out.
Right.
And you need to make sure that you have someone there to compare your candidates to. So if you only brought forward 3 and you lost 1, still doable. Somehow you lost 2, that would be a problem. We actually ran into that community where we had a number of candidates and then they all started pulling out.
Right.
So.
Okay. We talked about advertising on MMA, which is wonderful. I also really like LinkedIn. I think it reaches a good local audience, but you can also hit a broader audience as well. Is that something we can do?
Sure. We have a LinkedIn page.
Okay.
Community Garden has a LinkedIn page that we get a lot of traction on.
Is that something we need a motion on? Can we add that to your proposal? That's fine. Okay.
In fact, if you went on our LinkedIn page now, you'd see a couple of, we're doing the Plymouth Town Engineer, that's up. We're doing the Chatham Planner position, that's up. So we put them up there.
Okay. Are you guys okay with that?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
I just assumed that happened.
So you talked about,
What we don't do, I will tell you what we don't do. It was inadvertently done, it wasn't done by us, but anyway, we did, I talked to you about it's always, I always find it sort of a humorous story. We did, when we did the town of Amherst, we advertised in the MMA, the ICMA. At the time, we don't believe we used LinkedIn. We got about 60 applicants for that position. Maybe more. Many of them thought they were applying for the town manager of Amherst, Ohio, because Indeed.com picked it up somehow. They pulled it off somewhere and they put it out there. And we just got an awful lot of people applying that were, one, looking at the wrong state, and two, none of them were qualified. So none of them had any municipal experience at all. So, so we don't use those. We focus in on the municipal sector.
okay, awesome. Disclosure, I really like disclosures. You talked about teaching students. Is there a way we can just have a disclosure if there was someone in your organization taught, we just had a disclosure on it? Okay. Okay, if you had a candidate who you thought was a really good candidate, but they would be a short-term candidate, would you recommend them to us? Meaning they would use it as a stepping stone?
That would really depend, and let me sort of address that this way. When we present the finalist packet to you, you'll hear me say, and I say it in every community, here you go, these are your finalists, I walk you through who they are, what their backgrounds are. So you all have my phone number, you all have my email address. Please feel free to reach out and talk about the candidates ahead of the interview. Or after the interview, I'll say the same thing. Please reach out and let's talk. And because that's where I can't say publicly that someone is good, but they're probably short-term.
Right.
But if you were to call and ask me about candidate A, B, or C and say, what do you think, long-term, short-term? I would tell you what I thought.
Okay.
But I can't do it publicly.
Okay. When you do your whittling down, you 6 or 7 candidates, when you interview them, is that done virtually or in person?
Virtually.
Virtually. So I was just going to ask, back to disclosure, if you had a candidate who was really good, but they were late for your interview by a couple of minutes, I think stuff like punctuality is important too. Is that something you can disclose to us? Like a minute to me matters. I like people on time.
Yeah. I've never had anyone ask me that before. So I'll have to think about that one.
Okay.
In terms of, again, I'm not going to say, if you, again, I'll put it the same way. If you were to call me up and say, okay, were they punctual for their interview? I'd say yes or no.
All right, we can handle it that way.
Yeah.
That's fine. Okay.
I won't come in and say, here's your 3 finalists. And by the way, candidate B was 5 minutes late.
Yeah.
And because there could be, in particular with the virtual, it could be a login problem that happens. For that matter, it could be in person, it could be in traffic. I left with plenty of time to get over here today. And then when I got in my car, my GPS told me I was going to be here 20 minutes early. Suddenly, when I was on Route 44, it showed that I was going to be 5 minutes late. But I got here ahead of that, and I didn't break any speeding laws.
Nice. That's good. All right. So I really like Selectman Mello's meet and greet option. Is there additional cost to that? And can you add that to your proposal if we all liked it?
I I don't think there won't be any additional cost to that.
Okay,
We'll just do that.
Okay.
Assuming it's just one night of,
yeah.
we can do
Okay. And I also really like, I like one essay. I like to see if people looked at our website, what they know about the town. I like to read it ahead of time.
Sure.
You know, you learn a lot about their writing style, about the person, how much they research. And, you know, you talked about delegators, you get a chance to, we'll get a chance to question them. So, I really like, you know, and you talked about some managers are really busy and they, you know, they may not apply if there's questions. I like that. If you're too busy to research us, perfect. That's a good way to weed people out, actually. So,
well, what we would do is the essay, again, we would do it for the people who are finalists.
you do it for finalists? Okay. All right, that's fair enough. Yeah, that's fine. And then just in the proposal, talking about like the primary issues of the town and maybe drafting or updating the job description. Is that a future meeting of the board that we'll work on that?
What we'll do is we'll get you we'll get that into that position statement and then send that off to you. I don't think the job description, it needs to be updated.
Okay, I just think we need, as a board, need to talk about the salary, I guess, on the job description.
Yeah, and that's something we will talk to you about as we get closer to the
Posting it?
posting.
Okay, so we still have an opportunity if we do
Okay.
see something in the job description as a board we want to change, we have an opportunity to weigh in. Okay,
Yeah, the job description is, you know, again, I think I know that's included. I gave you, I just forgot to remember which one I put in there. That position statement is what we do.
okay,
That's what we develop. It doesn't take the job, it doesn't include the job description, it includes elements of the job description in a more cohesive document. And we can make the job description, the official job description, available to anyone that needs to see it or wants to see it.
I think that's all, but let me just look one more time.
Exactly, but if it's online, one thing that we use quite a bit of is in that document, you'll see, and well, it's in paper, it doesn't come across as well. But because all this resides on our website, reside on your website as well, but it has hyperlinks built in so that if there's a job description, official job description that's residing on your website, we can drive people to it.
Okay, no more questions, Nicole?
No.
Satisfied with? This is a motion and a vote to have the town enter into a contract with Paradigm. So is anybody prepared to make that motion?
I'm prepared to make the motion to approve the contract as presented, contingent upon our town meeting vote in the affirmative of keeping the town administrator position on June 10th.
I'll second that.
Okay, a motion has been made and seconded. Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Congratulations, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Assuming that this, this is all moving forward. Which,
Yeah.
Assuming it is. The one thing I will need is contact information for each one of you. I'll get the contact information for any of the department heads that we need to talk to.
Sure.
To sort of pull that together.
Karen can provide all of that.
Okay. What we might actually do is send a questionnaire out to the department heads, just getting basic information from them, their thoughts, and again, so that we have that on hand.
Great.
Okay.
Okay, well, that captures part of our meeting here tonight. In the second part, just as equally as important, is the interim. So this is under new business, review, discuss, and act, prospective interim town administrator candidates. Talk to us.
Well, you're probably not gonna wanna hear what I have to say on this, but, we don't monetize.
Right.
So I'm not, none of these people are independent contractors. Peter Moran, one of the candidates, does do work for Community Paradigm, and has done some work for us in the past. But you have three really seasoned.
Strong candidates, yes.
Peter is just wrapping up in Holbrook. He's still doing some work up there. Currently doing some work on another project with me. Jim Purcell, we've worked in many communities where Jim has served as the interim. He has an extensive background as an interim town administrator. I think he was over in Somerset recently, not too long ago.
Yep.
He was over in Swansea at a point in time. He was in Rockland, right near East Bridgewater, twice.
Where is he from? Which one?
He lives in Mendon.
Mendon, right.
And he attached a cover letter and resume. So he's sort of made there's sort of a group of senior managers or retired managers that sort of gained a second career of being, and his sort of area is up to 495 and down. And
Sure.
I should get to 495, maybe up to Mass Pike and down.
Did you say that was Jim Purcell?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So this is his sort of region for doing interim work. And then Mike Gallagher, who actually, he was in Somerset.
That's why I was confused. Yeah,
Right.
he was.
Jim was in Swansea, East Bridgewater, but Mike was in Somerset.
Right.
And,
And the names now are crossed with me.
Yeah. So any of them are all of them are available.
Okay.
All of them are interested. We leave this up to the board
Right.
to make this decision. What I've seen done in other communities is you can call them in for an interview. Or there are cases that we've seen where communities have, each member of the board has reached out to the candidates and done a quick 15-minute interview on their own. So that then when you come back in at a subsequent meeting, maybe next week or right after town meeting, however you do that, you can come in and say, look, I spoke to these three. I like this one.
Right.
And they all are, roughly the same in terms of hourly rate. Their hourly rate is somewhere between $90 and $100 an hour. You probably don't need someone, this is just an interim. You can give them special projects to do, but basically they're keeping the lights on and keeping the town moving forward. But they all come in, and the thing I would recommend, and I only did, as a former manager, I only did one interim. And I know I did this in the community I work for, and I recommend it to any community that's hiring an interim. Make sure that when they're here, when they leave you with their thoughts. They leave you with recommendations as to areas of possible improvement.
Okay. That's good.
But you basically, you're getting someone that can come in and, if there's a union contract that needs to be settled, you can put them on that. If there's a project that needs to get into some procurement work done, they can get that to happen or make the arrangements to have that happen. And be there for the staff to be able to have someone to go to and have your actions as a board implemented. In that respect, keeping the lights on, keeping the business of the town going. But they're also arguably consultants too.
Right.
They're coming in, they're bringing their expertise, their experience, and each one of them has the experience going into a community and seeing what works, what doesn't work. And they come in, when they leave, they can say to you, I think that you need to develop a bylaw to address something like that. Again, it can be a very beneficial.
Yeah, I never thought of using one as a consultant.
Yeah, it's, they're here, they would be a temporary employee because there's indemnification. One of the reasons we don't do it. One is I'm not going to take someone that's making $90 an hour and tack $5 or $10 on.
Right.
just so I can send you a bill.
Yep.
It's not worth it
Sure.
to you or to me, and it's not worth it to them. This is one that you can deal with these people directly. And then there's the liability aspect of indemnification. They're going to be acting on behalf of the town, and that they should be indemnified.
Okay. In the interest of time, I would prefer that we call them individually and ask the questions that you feel necessary, because if we're going to spend another week to 2 weeks trying to coordinate everyone's schedule, that's 2 weeks less that we'll have somebody for. When we did the police chief search, it was part of the same process where the selectmen at the time were given 15, 20 minutes of interview time. And again, it to me just makes the most sense to proceed that way than to try to bring them in here, set up, again, time of interest, trying to set up interviews and wasting that time that we could have somebody in place. I don't know how you feel.
I agree. Yes, I think that, the point why we've had 2 special meetings in the 2 weeks is
Yep.
because we need to move on this. And, for transparency, I made a call to, Bernie about this issue, about getting someone in. And I think it's really important that whoever we get can spend a couple of days with our current town administrator. So that's my biggest
Right.
number one goal of whoever comes in. I don't think it can be Thursday on his last day, like, here's the keys, they need a couple of full days where they can sit down, go over the issues of the town, the administration, what he does. And so if we're going to rush and move quickly, which we should, it's important that they have at least a couple of days together. So if our town meeting's the 10th, hopefully we can choose someone. I think it'd be nice if we could all, right before our town meeting, if we could can you have a meeting on town meeting, or maybe the
Yes,
day?
sure.
Yeah, if we could meet briefly, real quick
Right.
before.
We've done that in the past. Do we want to just pick a night that we'll each call them so that we can notify them that the 3 selectmen are going to call and say it's Thursday night? This way, by Monday, we all have a chance to have talked to them. It doesn't have to be Thursday night. I'm just throwing that out there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to facilitate as much as I can. And I can contact all of them and just say, look, you're going to be getting a call.
Right. I think that's the best scenario as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
And if you guys agree, then let's
I agree.
proceed that way.
And frankly, it's only 3 weeks.
Right.
Between now and Monday, they'll all be available to
Sure.
take a call.
Okay.
The other thing you could do, and just another idea, is, I think, I can't recall all of them did it, but they've given you references or giving you the communities that they've worked in.
Mm-hmm.
You can call one of your counterparts in these communities and say, how did it work out?
Very.
They do.
They're all very impressive.
Yeah.
And I was amazed that they were going to be available.
Yeah. They all are very impressive. So.
Okay. So I guess we really don't need to vote on anything. It's just, there's no motion on the floor to consider. I mean, there's no reason to put a motion on the floor because there's nothing to vote. We will just, this gentleman is not part of it, other than just being here for assistance when it comes to this. But we can just call the candidates with their information that we have and follow through.
One recommendation I have lots of recommendations.
Yeah, it's okay.
I think their emails their emails are all on there.
Yes, they are.
This is how we do all our reference checks.
Yep.
with people, is we send everyone an email first. We say, look, I'm so-and-so, town of Dayton, can I schedule a 15-minute phone call with you?
Sure.
What works, over these days or these times? And,
a lot of sense.
and I'll tell all of them to look for that, and then they can respond to that, and you can set up the phone call then.
Okay.
rather, because we all do it, we get these calls and don't know who they are that's calling us.
Right, they don't answer the phone.
That's right.
Try to call back and,
Yeah.
okay, that makes a lot of sense.
And, so.
Okay.
Okay, the only motion I guess I would maybe consider is, the idea of, not so much a motion, but scheduling this for a particular, get it on your agenda.
Right.
Are you guys amenable to meeting briefly right before
Yeah.
town meeting? And
It makes sense. And then obviously it depends on what happens at the town meeting. And we hit the ground running the next day if everything goes
absolutely.
hopefully the way it should.
Okay, great.
Right.
So could we do 6 o'clock at the high school?
Last time we did it here and then drove to the meeting.
We can certainly do it there.
We can do it there.
We have access at 5:30.
Okay. And the town meeting starts at 7.
Yep, and the finance committee will have a special also, so.
Okay,
Be a busy night.
sounds good. So let's do it for 6 o'clock on Monday. That's all right with
Yeah.
both of you.
So I just did the salary for our current town administrator. It looks like it's like $65 an hour. I just curious for the board, the consultants, it sounds like 90 to 100. I don't know what's the thought on the board.
That's for the, let me just say that that's for the interims.
Interims, right?
You can probably look to go probably, a little less than that. So, I think your current salary is about 136. I think.
Right. 135 and change, yeah.
I want to get you some hard numbers, but I think you're probably going to have to go up.
I'm really only comfortable going with the current salary. I don't want to be insulting to our consultants. I appreciate the help, but
Oh, wait, you're saying that you don't want to pay what the consultants are asking?
yeah, I feel like our town, it's almost like our town, our voters said that they want to pay no more than $135,000 a year, and that breaks down to $64 an hour. So I feel like I don't want to pay more than
When I
that.
think about that, like, I'm gonna bring nursing because that's what I do. When the hospital can't bring in their regular staff, they bring in staffing agencies and they make
Travelers.
twice as much as the other staff that are currently there.
Are you referring to two separate things?
Well, I'm just giving an example of why these folks make more, because,
Are you referring to the town administrator?
The
Or
interim,
the interim.
the interim.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
If the board's okay with it, I guess I had to talk about it.
no, I understand it is significantly higher.
Keep in mind, you're not paying any benefits.
Right.
So if you calculate that out, you're not paying health insurance, you're not paying pensions, you're not paying vacation time, sick time, your holidays.
And these
That's
people
fair.
will know that there's no possibility that they will be hired, right?
All the 3 of these people are currently receiving pensions from their prior employer, so they kind of do that. Yeah. And they're not interested.
Yeah, I didn't think so, but I didn't want one of them to become a candidate.
No.
And,
No,
That was
it's-
a good question, Peter.
we tend to recommend against that to our community. In most cases, some cases we might say, you could try someone out.
right,
Oftentimes that's more with internal candidates.
Yep.
Than it is for bringing someone from the outside. But you don't want any candidates here that will, again, I keep on going back to this, anything that will reduce your pool. If people see a candidate, if suddenly we found someone that was out there that would be applying for the position, and you put them in, we'd immediately lose people that would be interested in the position.
Right. Okay, that makes sense a lot. Okay.
But,
Are you
All right.
okay, Mark?
yeah, I'm on board with that.
Oh,
Yeah, and as far as the posting of the position, we talked about salary a little bit, but I guess we can talk to the board more about this when we get further down the road. We can probably post, this is the challenge for me is I want to be able to succeed in getting your candidate. And I assume you'd want me to succeed in getting your candidate. If we go too low, we're not going to get a candidate. So But we can certainly, if the board wants to stay at that 135, that, when we post it, then we do, but we'll see what we get the candidates to come out of that.
I like what we originally had, the 115,
Did you say the 115?
a couple of years ago.
Been off the count, but pardon me if I'm out of order, but, you don't negotiate, you don't give the new guy what the old guy was getting, he earned that. Okay? Dayton is a stepping stone. If somebody's coming in, they ain't gonna be here for long. Right? And you can't tell me there's not people looking for jobs, because they are. You can't give them a 137. Mike Mullen worked his butt off for this town, and we gave him a handsome raise. Right? We'll give the next person a handsome raise if they work well for us.
Okay.
Right?
This,
Respect. This sounds respect.
let's move on to the minutes and then we can have any more public input.
Yes, thank you very
Yes.
much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Minutes, approval of the Board of Selectmen special meeting minutes from May 15th, 2024.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the Board of Selectmen special meeting minutes of May 15th, 2024.
Second,
Motion made and seconded. Any more discussion? All those in favor?
aye.
Pete Cameron's an aye. Approval of the Board of Selectmen's regular meeting minutes from May 22nd, 2024.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the Board of Selectmen regular meeting minutes on May 22nd, 2024.
Second,
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
aye.
Aye.
Yes, some-
Public input? Yes.
Literally the only person here.
Yeah, I think so. Over here.
Well, I mean, I don't think there's anybody on Zoom and what do you just want? So I have a lot of thoughts on what just happened. I'd like to stake on Bill Moore, 1835. First of all, if I had a choice, if you're going to throw more money at somebody, I'd rather throw more money at Mike Mullen because I think he's done a great job.
And just so we know, we discussed with him that it had nothing to do with salary, and that it was all has to do with.
I had the same discussion, but I figured if all of us pressure hard enough.
Yeah, peer pressure did not work in this.
So that's the first thought I had. Second thought is I'd like to be very careful about maintaining open meeting law issues. I want to remind you guys about what happened with the police chief. I was a little concerned. I wish he didn't walk away. One thing that I was kind of uncomfortable about was talking about how he's going to whittle it down to just a couple of candidates. And then other people are just going to be shuffled away. I'm talking to you about public perception, about what people are going to think of that. People were eliminated without you ever setting eyes on. So,
But if we set eyes on them, then there's also the perception that we would look them away. So it could go either way.
but that's your job.
But that's why we have the community engagement, so that folks can get eyes on whoever.
Meaning
finalists.
what's called the round table or something. Is that what you mean?
No, like a meet and greet.
Right.
So people would be able to get eyes on finalists before they even came before us.
And I love that. That's a great point.
But we hired that company to whittle it down for us because we can't interview 15 people.
Correct. And I'm not disputing hiring a company. That I think that makes sense. But what I wanted to say was that I was working with Mike Mullen beforehand, talking about our hiring process in town.
Yep.
He promised me that after the budget, we would be turning to fixing it because it doesn't work well. It runs against open meeting laws. And so what I'm trying to say is that I don't want the perception to happen to this board again, that some person was just magically selected and appointed and, coronated through some backdoor deal or something like that. It needs to be all out in the open, at least as much as possible. I like what you said, 3 candidates, that's a good idea. Let's see 3 candidates. Let's see 3 candidates in front of this board. I didn't like what you said about doing a meeting here instead of at the school. I think for optics, I think it would be better if you did it at the school. It's up to you. But because that's where everybody
Decided.
Oh, that's where we're gonna be.
Yeah.
That's what we decided.
No, we decided the school.
Yeah.
All right, I missed that. Okay. And lastly, and probably most importantly, there needs to be an element of internal search. There are people, I think, that could be could be qualified and may be interested in the position that might want to come from our own employees. We need to give those people,
They'll have a chance to apply.
right, but we need to, I want it to be clear. I mean, like the police chief, you understand what I'm saying? The police chief situation was, it was seen that we overlooked somebody internally. I don't want to have that to happen again. I'd like to see it smooth.
Well, I think that what I'm fearful of, because it's happening all over again, there's nobody here. The police chief was like, what, a 7-8 month process? It wasn't a quick process. There was nobody barely at any meeting. And here we are again.
Yep.
It's gonna be a very lengthy process and nobody's here. We've got 2 people. So I
I've
want.
been coming here for 25 years.
I want residents to be aware, and they have access to this whole thing. They have access to the whole way of how this interview process is gonna go to do. So I encourage them to look it over and understand it.
Completely,
That's the key.
completely agree with you.
I can't make people come here and
Of course not.
then if you wait until, what is, I don't know sports, but you wait till the 4th quarter to, make a claim that you want something, like, that makes it difficult. I want it, and that's why I wanted the community to be involved. That's why I mentioned it, because I want from the beginning.
You're absolutely right. I'm simply trying to advise you guys that in every decision you make, think of the optics.
Oh, believe me, we're thinking on it.
And how it's going to look, and make sure you try to make it as public and open as possible, have as many candidates as possible, try to find people internally. I also might suggest look at Rehoboth. Might be a little controversial, but see what they do.
See what they did?
See what Rehoboth did. They basically moved their assistant into the town administrator position, and seems to be working out for them. And cost saved them a lot of money.
Right.
That's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What, did you have anything else, sir?
What's,
I thought it was County Street.
yeah,
Country
in
Hill.
the village.
Oh,
I'm sorry that I spoke online, but I wanted to get the point across that, just because we're paying Mr. Mullen $137,000 doesn't mean we need to pay the new person coming in $137,000. Because within the first 9 months, they're gonna want to raise. They all do. That's just the nature of the game. So I'm not quite sure where Mallory started, but she was a good town administrator and she earned her way up. And then we hired Mike, and I'm gonna give Mike a lot of credit. Mike's done a lot of work. And he got a big raise. For his last raise, the Board of Selectmen was very generous to him. Maybe a little too generous with being in the position that the town's in right now. And I understand where the guy's coming from, where he doesn't think if we're gonna pay enough, we won't get any candidates. Well, at least test the waters. That's what I'm saying. I spoke to Nicole last week, just to Nicole, nothing in a meeting or anything. And I said something about 90,000 and she probably thought that was lowballing it. So, where is a good number? You gotta remember, the people ain't here, but they're all on Facebook. That's your friend over there, Mr. Facebook. And, they like to talk a lot of trash. And then they'll show up at a meeting and blow up, usually when it's too late. As you know, I'm at most of the meetings. I've been coming for many years. And I'm in tune to what's going on. I'm all for a new town administrator, and I understand that we need one. I understand that. That's the way the world works today. But let's not start them off at the same price Mike's getting now. Dayton is a stepping stone. We're gonna get whoever we get, and they're gonna move on, whether we're nice to them or we're not nice to them. Because the bigger cities pay more. And if they're that good, they'll advance. And if they're not that good, they'll stay here forever. So, let's start them out at a reasonable pay, reasonable. I don't know. I'm willing to go to 110. And that's a good starting point. If you think it's worth more than 110,000, I don't know. Say so, because the voters will be watching.
it was advertised last time at 115. What is your thoughts on that? Just to not make a change?
I can eat that.
That wouldn't change anything. It would be the same.
That was 3 years ago.
3 years ago. Mhm.
there any way that we could take that in 3 years, from like
Cost
where
of
we are, yeah,
inflation.
cost of inflation.
Yeah, you can give incentives. And the other thing, I'm glad you said that because it reminded me of something else I wanted to say. The role, your job description. Mike Mullen was involved in every single thing, every single department. It didn't seem like not one person in the town could make a decision without talking to Mike. And granted, a lot of the questions and decisions that Mike had to make for people were minor. So we're bothering a guy that we're paying $100 an hour, with some silly stuff. So maybe we can more clearly define the role of the town administrator and who he's gonna deal with and how he's gonna deal with him to make his job a little easier. And you know how it is. It's like, oh, hey, Nikki, can I get this in it? No. So then they go to Peter and then they go to Mark, right? Or they could just skip all of you and go to Mike. There's gotta be some discipline in the ranks. And you three are the boss of the town administrator. The town administrator is not your boss. And I've seen that role kind of get mixed up in the last few years. You're the bosses. You're elected. You're our people. So that's about all I have.
Thanks, Woody.
Thank you.
No one else out there?
Dave,
Okay.
you got anything? No?
Oh, Dave, I didn't even see you come in.
Can I just ask, I didn't get the motion for the special meeting. I didn't get.
Oh, we didn't make one.
There was a partial motion. But we're not gonna make one.
Oh, no, we can. We did not make one though.
Okay.
So,
I'm comfortable it's gonna happen.
yeah, so,
But do we have to make a motion?
Sure.
Motion to schedule a special meeting, there was no second.
all right. Want a second?
Well, I'll second it.
Motion was on the
Thank you.
floor. Motion now made and seconded. All those, any discussion? All those in favor?
I,
Aye.
You're welcome. Thank you for pointing that out. Motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
second,
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
I.
Aye. Do you plan on saying anything Wednesday night, Monday night? No.
I respect the chairman.
We need to end very soon.
Yeah. I didn't know if, you're gonna end Zoom?
I'm sorry.
Gonna end
Oh, yeah,
Zoom?
I'm sorry.
If anybody else wanted to say anything. The,
The fact is,